Hey, before we get into this episode, just a couple of messages from our sponsor, which is me. If you're a musician, an artist, a dancer, or someone in our gig economy, if you work in marketing, management, an agent, anything else, and you're like what we're talking about here and you'd like to come on and have a chat, please email me at aussielocalandlive@gmail.com and we'll organise to get you on. Secondly, if you're watching this, please subscribe now on the YouTube channel. Subscribe so we can let you know when more episodes come along, and please let your friends know about it. Finally, the last thing, if you do like what's going on and you'd like to really help, please put your camera on that QR code. It will take you to a tip jar on my website. All the money comes 100% to the show, and every bit helps. So anyway, enjoy this episode. If you can, email me, subscribe, or help out with a tip jar situation. Really appreciate it. Have a good day and enjoy the show. All right, I'm actually really excited to be speaking to this person today. It's someone I've wanted to talk to for a long time about the amazing work he does. Mr. Lew Brennan, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm really good, Nick. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Mate, we met at a time when you were in the political world.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was never a politician in my mind. I was only a community representative, mate.
Yeah, it was the Sunshine Coast Council, right?
Yeah, Sunshine Coast, and before that, Noosa Council. So all up 15 years in local government.
Okay. Mate, and of course, what we're going to be talking today is about your artwork, which is just amazing artwork, and your life around that. But mate, when you were in council, were you doing art back then?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've been painting and drawing since I was 5 years old, and
okay,
despite everything else in my life, I kept at it.
Yep. So, mate, I guess going into that story, what are you doing now, and what drives your passion? What is it that you love about what you do?
Well, I think since exiting local government, which was 2015, it's just freed me up to just focus on the art full time, pretty much, as well as family and general life. So that's where I've headed, and made some really good connections through galleries, and lifted my work, because I was putting more focus on it, and away it went, one step at a time. And then currently I'm very busy, which is great, and galleries in America and here that keep me busy, and I just keep working on the subjects I like, the detail that I enjoy achieving, and hopefully some emotive triggers there that make people feel really good about looking at the art.
I guess I'll start off by showing some art, because when you talk about detail, that's a phenomenal thing about your work, is the amount of depth of detail that you get into it. And without people actually seeing it, it's probably a bit hard for them to picture what I'm talking about. So I'll just bring Connie up, if that's all right.
Yeah, mate, that's good.
There we go. Mate, that's just amazing. Your work looks so much like a picture, like a photo.
Yeah.
So give us an outline of what's involved here and what we're looking at.
Well, you're looking at a charcoal drawing. It's freehand. I don't use projectors or tools that will help set the drawings out like a number of people would do. There's something about a girl in a truck or a girl in a horse. It's a bit of a theme that pops up. Oh, there's something about girls, isn't there? But,
I'm with you.
Makes the world go around. And I just have these little images embedded in my head from, I don't know where the original references might have been, but certainly a lot of stuff from the 70s, 60s and 70s when I was young, and 1960s and 70s were pretty interesting times, and there was pop art, there was poster art, there was album cover art, there was traditional art, there was the classics and the Renaissance, and I don't know, throughout it all, there was points of interest that I just wanted to achieve myself over time, and so somehow embedded in that drawing there of a cute young girl up against a rusty old truck, there is elements of all the things that I just mentioned tied in there, and I couldn't even explain exactly how or why. I just search references until I find what I'm looking for and piece it together and create what I've done.
Mate, one part of me feels like I shouldn't ask questions because it's a bit like asking a magician to give away secrets. But then I know it's one thing to talk about what you do, but then another thing to actually be able to do it with a whole different level
Yeah,
of skill. So I will ask the questions if that's all right. When you get to like details in her hair,
yeah,
and you say it's all charcoal,
yep.
you know where I'm
I'm
coming
loving,
from?
I'm loving the question, mate. Yeah. So look, I tell you, the greatest influence on my life from when I was, 5-year-old that I remember was a charcoal and chalk drawing that my great grandfather had done in 1877, and I still have it right here next to me right now. And that set the tone in my mind that I wanted to do that, and so when things were pretty tight back in those days, and that was 1960, say, and onwards. But I would pick up any old magazine that I could get my hands on, and I would start drawing, even if it was an advertisement, like some girl in a toothpaste ad.
Yep.
I would copy it. And looking back, I'm sure that they weren't that accurate, but there was something there, and I just kept at it, and whatever I could find, I would draw. And then later in the 60s, the album covers, and of course we all love our music, particularly you, Nick, and I. But, I would be drawing album covers at school rather than doing schoolwork. And I can't remember doing much homework. It was always about the art and drawing and those sorts of things. Art and sport and girls was about it.
Yep.
And so it all came together in drawings like this.
So mate, I'm just going to bring up my cup of tea.
Yep.
Now, so we'll go from Connie, which you could tell obviously looks like, the charcoal hand drawing and the detail, very fine detail. And then you get to this, which looks like a photo, obviously, but this is also charcoal drawing?
Charcoal and chalk, yeah. And not too much chalk, a little bit of chalk in there. You can see the highlight on the coffee pot. You can see, obviously, the cream on the jam and some highlights there. And if you really look closely, on the teapot, there's the reflection of the artist there with some highlights around it, which is chalk.
Yep.
Pretty much it's an old watercolor trick, really, but you utilize the white of the paper for some of that white-looking work there.
Well, on the kettle, what gets me is what you're saying, and I can tell by the toning, what you're talking about the charcoal, but to make it look silver on a white paper by using a dark color.
Yeah. It was actually a toned, I'm just thinking back as you're talking, but that was a toned paper. So it was sort of like a buff, very, very light tan, and so pastel artists often use a toned paper. And
then saying that, you got the cream, which is really white.
The cream is chalk. The cream is chalk.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Yeah. And the shine on that coffee pot at the right, at the back, that very big band there, that's chalk.
That's chalk. Wow, that's amazing.
Those middle tones, I'm using the paper as much as I could, just some soft charcoal over it and a bit of paper stump to rub that in and carry on. So
do you mind talking about your techniques like this? That's okay?
No, it's all good, mate. I held my first class I had a recent exhibition at the Gympie Regional Gallery. I was invited to have an exhibition, and they talked me into giving a class. So we had 10 in the class. So it was the first time I've actually gone face to face with people to tell them how I go about my work. I showed it was basically the technique of charcoal rather than creating a drawing.
Yep.
And I ran through a lot of the techniques I use, and then I walked everybody through my exhibition. There was 30 pieces in there. Both oils and charcoals, and then I pointed out to them how I used the techniques that I'd shown them to achieve what I had that was on the wall, So they're very excited about that. And I think it was a pretty good learning process for them.
When you're using charcoal, how much room is there for mistakes that you can repair, or is it?
There's not a lot of room, man. No. Charcoal is critical, and you learn that very young. Years and years ago, I got picked up. I had some art in an exhibition down in Maroochydore, and I got picked up by a publishing company, and they said, "Do you want to come and work for us?" Well, I was in the construction game in those days. I said, "Let me think about that, yes." And what I learned very quickly is when they photographed my work so they could print it as an illustration to their writing, the photograph brought out any deficiencies or blemishes or marks that you didn't want to be there. Like it seemed to go like 2 or 3 layers down, and it would pick up any mistakes you've made and try to cover up. So that was a learning process for me, is not to make the mistakes. And there is some room for fixing things, but if you've been at it as long as I have, I think they're trade secrets pretty much.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine it'd be like carving something almost with charcoal. It's like it's almost like you're carving something away. So, Matt, when it comes to you finish your work, and I'll put up on our screen a bit later on the Lew Brennan 360.au, which is an amazing gallery where people can see. Is that all your work up there?
Yeah. Oh, well, up to date. Yeah, there's some brand new ones that'll be in this next exhibition, but they haven't been loaded yet.
Okay. So I'll put the text of that on when we're finished chatting. I'll edit that in here so people can go and see it. It's absolutely amazing. You sell prints of the work through that gallery, is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep. Yes, the answer is yes, but I have the originals for sale as well, but it's very difficult for me, with my limitations in technology, to keep loading all of the fresh stuff. By the time I load it, it's pretty well sold. So I don't load the originals as quickly as I should.
It must be heartbreaking to part with originals, wouldn't it?
Not if you want to eat.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
it is a little bit like you have your favorites for sure,
Yep.
and depending on how deep they are in the back of your mind and how hard it was to drag that up and find references and things like that, you get really attached to them. Absolutely, some of those portraits and figures, and it's almost like you know them because they've been hanging in the back of your mind for so long. The family miss some of the good ones as well, or some of the ones they like as well.
Yep.
They're a bit sorry to see them go.
Yep.
It's part of the game.
Yep. The prints are, I imagine, obviously the prints are very high quality as is, right?
Yeah, I use a group called Art House Reproductions in Brisbane, and they get artists from all over Australia send their work there because it's such high quality work.
Yeah.
These days they use what's called a Giclée or a Giclée process, which I think was French. By the name it sounds French too. And it's based on a technology rather than the old lithograph, where you roll it through a press or an etching or any of those old school methods. And they have an amazing room with a vacuum press on the wall and cameras that I would hate to think how much they cost. And then they work from that and reproduce it. It's hard to tell the difference between the print and the original.
So it's almost like each print goes through a work of art itself. It's not like just a mass print out from a printer. Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. They talk about once you say you feel like you know someone. You look at this one, and I haven't got the full name. Oh, yes, I have. She stole Irwin's jacket, borrowed Leroy's truck, and headed east.
Yeah.
And mate, you just look at that. I don't know who the person is. Was it a real person in your imagination? But it just looks like a situation you do know who she is, and it all feels familiar.
I always need a photographic reference, and like I point out again that I draw freehand. I don't use projectors to trace an outline and then work. This girl was a Canadian Jamaican girl, and she was a model, and a friend of mine in Canada is a photographer. So I saw his photograph, and we keep in touch regularly, and I have great admiration for his photography because he doesn't use lights and strobes and things. He uses natural light. So we have this little bit of an understanding of the way each other works in that sense. So anyway, after getting approval from Irwin to use the photograph of the model, I then, got some photos of my son's old F100. It's a 78 F100 in the background. And I had to get my wife to throw a denim jacket on to sort of get that that real
Yeah.
heart and soul thing going there. And I needed some more hat, so found a straw hat and added to what was already there and made a whole lot of that hat up. You just had to create that because I didn't have a reference, and then put that all together. It was probably, I don't know, be over 100 hours of work there, and
The detail in that hat just.
came up with that. But it's
That's
got. I just love this one. It's, if there's one that I really miss, it'll be this one. And then
Yeah.
the title was it was an attempt in transferring what was in my head before I started
Yeah.
onto the page, so people could get a sort of a lead-in story and get an understanding of where my head was when I started on this.
Well, it's interesting you say it's one of your favourites, and it really did. Looking at it, I think, I don't know why, but for some reason it just feels familiar. You feel like you connect with it somehow, and yeah, I don't know why it is, mate, but it blows me away. Fantastic.
Well, thank you, mate. What you just described is what I'm hoping to achieve with my art. When I hear people say that, I feel like I've achieved. And I've had people cry. I've had people tell me they can smell the horse I've drawn, or it's the greatest compliment you could possibly get.
Well, talking to that, let's go with this one. Lew said to me, "Can we not just focus on the horse pictures because he does so many brilliant horse pictures, and you look at the detail in these, and this one, the aware, just blew me away."
Yeah, thank you, mate. Well, you can actually buy a ticket in a raffle. So there's some very, very good people going to build an art gallery out at Imbil, out in the Mary Valley, and so I've donated a print at the same size as the original. And it's stretched on canvas, and it's available through Mary Valley Arts Inc. And they're raising money to build an art gallery in the main street of Imbil. Isn't that wonderful?
So, mate, just talking about events, we need to let people know about the 23rd of August at Art Post. You have a display coming up.
Yeah, there's an exhibition there, and it's the most beautiful gallery, recently put together by some good people who bought the old post office in Gympie, which is a magnificent two-story sandstone building. And they've made the bottom floor an art gallery. It's run by an art group, a not-for-profit art group. And upstairs they have a luxury Airbnb. It's just such a beautiful place. So I'm very honoured to be asked to have an exhibition there, which opens on the 23rd at 6 p.m.
So opens on the 23rd. When does it run till?
It runs from the 19th until the 6th of September. But the formal opening is the 23rd at 6 o'clock. Everybody is welcome.
Okay. And what happens at that opening? How does it work?
Well, I think it's pretty casual, and there'll be some music, and there's some. I'm sharing the exhibition with my eldest son, Lee. This is his first exhibition, and a very different style to mine, so it'll be a little bit interesting and exciting. And there'll be a couple of very short speeches, and then people just get to enjoy the artwork.
So that's the Art Post building in Gympie.
Yeah.
And the opening is on the 23rd of August. Well, that runs from the 19th, but you can meet Lew and get the first-hand knowledge of what he's doing with these new works at that event. Mate, you love, like, you look at the detail and the beautiful work you put into the horses. I'll just go to this one, to the cowgirl. Horses had a particular special place in your life, or?
Yeah, they do, which goes back to girls and horses. So my wife, of nearly, how long we got to, yeah. I went to school with my wife, so
Wow.
We've been knocking around together for a long time.
Yeah.
And so my introduction to horses was through Maureen. When we got married in '77, we moved up to a block of land that her dad owned up here in Koran, and we've been here ever since. And we carved out a farm and built some houses and raised a family here. But early in the piece, we had Maureen's horses here, and then we decided that we'd start breeding quarter horses here as part of our our love and our life and our work. And we also raised cattle here. So we had 700 acres of land here that needed a lot of work. And that was where the true understanding of horses came from, was to breed them, to educate them, and to work them on the farm here, and really understand how amazing they are as animals. And so that's where it came from. And they are just the most magnificent animal, truly.
Hey, when you look at this one and you feel like you can reach out and touch it and feel the sweat on the horse.
Yeah, thank you. That's all the things I'm chasing, mate. Everything you're saying is wonderful. This was an interesting drawing. It was a commission, really, and it started out as a friend inviting me to swap work. Well, I was very pleased to do it. Kim Wiggins is an American artist, and he lives in Texas, and his mum was the most interesting lady, and at 18 she won a bull riding championship, and a beautiful girl too, and then she went on to be a photographer. She had nightclubs, she set up magazines. She's just so interesting. And so what I did was I set about putting together a drawing that reflected his mum on horseback. And so I got the family brand on there on the chaps, and I even got him to send me photographs of her jewelry and put it on her hand there, and searched as much as I could through Kim what sort of saddles she was riding, and he sent photos and things, and put this drawing together and sent it to Kim, and he's very, very happy with it.
To me, I'm amazed by this one where obviously most times you think of someone drawing of a woman riding on a horse, you would see the horse's face and the woman's head. But this focuses on the details that make up the complexity of the whole procedure.
Yeah, not only that, and thank you for that, but it's a portrait. This is how she would ride. This is how she would dress. This is how the saddle was put together on her horse. There's always a variation from saddle to saddle. That's her hand. And so, I just went really deep into how I could do a portrait of her, even though I didn't have her face.
Yeah.
And he was more than happy. And there it is again, is that transfer of emotion from a drawing into somebody else's life, which is pretty crucial for me, as even if I'm doing coffee pots, I like to try and embed some triggers in there where people relate to the time where they had a coffee pot like that, or you know what I mean, that there's some relationship between the art and the viewer.
But you obviously find true beauty in complexity, is that right?
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be beautiful. Well, it depends on how you...
Oh, when I say beauty, I mean art from an artistic point. You find art in complexity?
Yeah. Look, the complexity thing and the detail thing is just me. It's not for everyone. Certainly in Australian art, realism and detail aren't highly regarded. Well, that's a bit cruel, but not as highly regarded as they are in the United States and in Great Britain. Okay. And some, parts of Europe as well. They still hang on to their admiration for realism and for detail. Whereas here,
do you sell more over there than here?
Certainly sell more in the USA. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I've been lucky enough to get some good galleries there. It started with a gallery up in Aspen, Colorado, and I then picked up a gallery in Pennsylvania that looked after me. Then they opened another gallery in New Jersey and look after me there still. I recently had work in Arizona, in Scottsdale. There's a beautiful gallery there. One of the wealthiest cities in the USA, Scottsdale, Arizona, in the desert. And recently I got picked up by Blue Rain Gallery in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and they're also in Colorado. And so I have an exhibition there in November.
So do you go over for those?
I'll go over for that, yep. I mean, it's a great honor when they call you pick up the phone, and it's a 30-year-old gallery in New Mexico. saying, "Would you like to work with us?" It's like, "Yes, thank you very much."
And mate,
It's a great honor.
as well as the ladies and the horses, there's also beauty in some other things I'm sure the Americans would appreciate as well. And the machine, this is like just amazing. And you said this was done from a bike in your town.
It was, yeah. It's a local bike. So years ago, let's say, I don't know, 15 years plus, the township of Koran picked up the remnants of the Gold Rush historic bike rally, which was annually in Gympie. But sadly, some of the leaders of that club passed away, and they were struggling to find somebody to take care of the show. So a bunch of us here at Koran took it on, and we ran it down at the Sports Oval and the Koran Recreation Club that a lot of us put together. And that's annual. So a couple of years ago, probably 5 years ago now, I just walked around to say hello to the gang because I wasn't involved anymore. And I was taking photos of the bikes because I love bikes, and I've had bikes since I was 15 years old. And when I went through all the photographs on my iPhone, this one struck me because of just the shine on the chrome and the historic feel to this old knucklehead Harley. And so I thought, I'll do a charcoal drawing of that. And it wasn't until I started drawing on this that I realized that my reflection holding the iPhone is on all of the chrome. So I had to go through about 10 little portraits on the way to achieving the realism here, which was pretty crazy.
And are those chromes with the chalk as well?
No chalk. All the whites there are just the paper.
Wow.
And look, if I had a lie detector on me, I might get caught out for maybe one or two little spots of chalk somewhere. I can't remember using.
Oh yeah, as if we'd know, mate. So yeah, I think you're pretty safe on that one.
As I'm looking at the brand of the Harley there's a circle around one of the images on that brand. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking there might be some chalk involved. See up on the tank?
Yep.
There's a circle there that looks a bit brighter than the rest.
Right.
Might be some chalk there.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. To me, I've never really. I've always been drawn to the more detailed type of artwork. Not really in the impressionist side of things. I can appreciate, but it doesn't affect me the same way. It's probably been the same in music a lot too. I grew up as a rock kid. I still love rock music. I very much love acoustic music with like good harmonies and harmonics going on that build these levels of complexities that you hear really nicely in a silent room. And I just kind of get that feeling when I look at your work that it's got that, you're hearing all the frequencies, you're feeling all the frequencies, you're feeling all the harmonics coming through in those details. And you go back to the beginning again when we started looking at the Connie picture. And just a jacket, her jumper, just the details of that.
You have to see it in real life. I'm so grateful for your comments there, Nick. But in real life, you can see that there is every thread of that jumper, every thread. And other work that I've done, every thread of a cotton shirt, I did a portrait of Barry Charles, so getting back to the music side of things.
Yeah, right.
And again, just every single detail of Barry. It was a funny day, but I had a friend of my son's come to take photos, and she was a great amateur photographer, but only amateur because she didn't charge money. She was very, very talented. We spent 4 hours trying to get Barry to relax. And anyway, at some point we had other people to get photographed, and so I said, "That'll do, Barry." And he put his guitar down on his lap, and she snapped it, and I worked from that. It took all that time, but if you can imagine while you're looking at Connie that there is the same detail in the portrait of Barry. Yeah. And every hair on his arm with the sunlight hitting it, and I
you captured that big voice, did you?
Oh yeah, look, he was
Yeah.
thinking there was I think he was thinking it was a photograph for an album cover, and he had he brought all these instruments along, mandolins and banjos, and he was standing there in this very strong pose. I'm going, no, Barry, come on, settle down, mate. Try and relax. He couldn't, it took us hours. Lots of fun, lots of fun.
It's amazing. Mate, I'm later this week. I'm also talking to a photographer, John Elliott, who John was Slim Dusty's photographer
Right.
for many years and captured a lot about the country music. And I look at a lot of his photographs that he's captured over the years. He's just got that artistic eye for detail that obviously was what makes you guys brilliant at what you do. Mate, I want to let people know again, the 23rd of August in Gympie at the Art Post Office or the Art Post Building.
Yeah.
You've got an exhibition of your new material, correct?
Yes, that's right, mate. Yeah. At least half, more than half is brand new. And
Right.
there's to fill up the spaces, and because it's in line. So what I've actually done this time is the very first themed exhibition. Mostly I have a mixed exhibition of different things, the oils, the charcoals, and bikes and horses and portraits and stuff. But this one is all portraits of women. And it gets back to that early conversation about how important they are in our life,
Yeah.
and so I'm just working with family to do some family tree stuff, and it's just amazing that I've chosen to do women before I got some information about how strong they were in my mother's family. So it's all good. I'm very happy that I'm doing the show based on girls.
Speaking of girls and artwork, there's one I haven't shown everyone yet. Spring Rebecca.
Yeah.
Obviously, the texture in all this is just amazing. What's the story behind this one?
If you're looking at that texture, you can see like sometimes it's just the challenge of making charcoal look like something that it shouldn't look like.
Well, to me, the amazing thing is seeing her actual arm and everything through
Yeah,
the material.
yeah. So
You're making the material see-through, basically.
yeah. So there was the challenge. Like the technical challenge is that I look. It's
Okay.
not easy to do that, and
I
it's
could
not
imagine.
easy to draw hair. It's not easy to draw wet hair, and it's not easy to represent flowing water in charcoal. So all of those things were, brewing in my head, and a very good friend's daughter she's a beautiful and freewheeling young girl, lives here in Koran, and at the time she had a partner who was a very good photographer, as Rebecca is. And they said, I sat down and talked to them about what I'm trying to achieve, and they said, yeah, we'll go out and have some fun. And they took some photos that I used as a reference and created that. And look, there is mood there. There is mood, but that's aside from the technical challenge. There was, I think, there's something basic about Australians and surf that carries memory and carries excitement and carries. Look, I'm probably going to say the wrong word here, but there's something romantic in Australian lives about surf and history of surf, and so I'm trying to package that all up in one drawing. That was my challenge.
I once had an Aboriginal elder lady ask me, we were chatting, and she said, what are you? And I was sort of trying to explain what I was. And her basic question was, no, what are you? Are you a land spirit person or a water spirit person? And it made me think, definitely, I've got to be near the water. I've got to be near the ocean. That's where I feel most comfortable, and definitely a water spirit person. And you look at something like that compared to like the silverware we were looking at before with the teacups. Obviously in those moments you've captured the beauty of the stillness, but here you actually feel the energy. You actually feel the way that water's moving around her, and the clinginess of that top, and what's that like. And we've all experienced that. And to me, mate, you bring that to life, and it's so hard to do in photography, and then to do it in charcoal drawings is like, wow. Yeah.
And I really tossed about doing it in charcoal. I thought maybe I should be doing this in oil, and I just went, nah, this is what I want to do. And it's like, again, everything you're saying is what what I want, in my best wishes are that people feel that water rushing. They feel
that for me.
They feel that shirt sticking to their skin.
Yeah. So do you do much oil painting work?
Yeah, I do a fair bit of oil. Look, probably 50-50 these days. Oil
Well, mate,
and
I've
charcoal.
obviously focused on the charcoal here today. We'll have to have another chat sometime, if you don't mind, go through some of your oil works.
I don't mind at all. I don't mind, Nick. I'm just so grateful, that you gave me a call. And the other thing we might have to do is pull out those acoustic guitars and have a strum.
That sounds good. That sounds good. But as I said, it's ever since I've known you, we've always, it's not that we know each other real well, but I've always felt comfortable talking to you, and it's always been a pleasure talking to you. And
you.
it's a chance to talk about your work is just something that I've really looked forward to, and that's what I'm trying to do with this little podcast. Look, I know, not many people are going to see these chats early on, but hopefully over time, we'll get episodes up and people will revisit, and you can share with your friends, and at least gives you a way to tell your story about what you're doing without having to go out and do a promotional bit. It's not a promo, it's a genuine chat. And hopefully over time, I just find there's so much in Queensland itself, so many creative, brilliant people that the world can discover properly. And if I can get a chance to chat to lots of people like yourself and see what's going on like this, it's such a pleasure to me. So maybe we'll probably get close to wrapping it up there, but I'll put some information up about your exhibition coming up. And is there anything else you want to highlight?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Nick, because again, what you're saying rings very true. It's true of most artists, I think, that we don't self-promote. There is a real barrier between being creative and investing a whole lot of your life and time and energy and experience into a piece of art.
Yep.
Then there is a brick wall about telling people about it and selling it. And that's why I rely on galleries more than a lot of people might. Mm-hmm. But self-promotion for artists is a very, very difficult thing. And so what you're providing is a wonderful opportunity, because the question-answer thing is so much easier than just standing there beating your drum. Okay. So thank you, Nick. Thank you. And I just know that artists will really respect and love what it is that you're doing. So go for your life, mate. That's wonderful stuff.
Thank you, mate. Well, if you do know some people that would like to chat to me, please pass the info on. But we'll talk about that off. But for now, mate, thank you very much for your time and all the best with the exhibition. And I look forward to talking to you soon about your oil work.